When you think about your future self and what makes you happy, if it's what you're doing today, even if it's challenging and you're having doubts, if that's what will make you happy, you just know that if you stick with it, you will get through it.
Hello, stereotype breakers, and welcome to yet another episode of the Meaningful Conversations podcast. You might already know today's guest because I'm interviewing Tiffany from Tiffin Tech, and we're going to talk about her transition into technology, how she handled it, and her tips for anyone who is currently transitioning into the tech sphere and who wants to build a career that is unique and authentic to them. So, for the 1% of viewers who don't know Tiffany, let me introduce her to you. Tiffany is a senior software developer at IBM. She originally started her career in the fashion industry before making the 180-degree leap into tech. She is very passionate about helping others find their way into tech. Tiffany is the founder of Tiffin Tech, a social media platform that reaches millions of people every month to inspire, inform, and educate about all things tech. Outside of work, she enjoys travel, learning about wine, and spending time with her family and dogs. Before we jump into our conversation with Tiffany, I just wanted to remind you to make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel and podcast on the podcasting platform of your choice. And of course, subscribe to our newsletter, which there will be a link to in the description of this episode. All right, without a further ado, let's dive into our conversation with Tiffany. Hi, Tiffany. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good. How are you doing today?
Doing well, and so excited to talk to you because this has been a long time coming.
I know we were saying earlier that I can't believe it's taken this long to connect. So, first of all, thank you so much for reaching out and inviting me on to here. I'm really, really honored to be on here.
And I'm honored to have you here. I'm so grateful that we are, connected digitally, and I hope one day we will also connect offline. That would be wonderful.
We will. We'll
But
have those, our wine glasses and sitting somewhere and just catching up. It'll be great.
oh, I am envisioning it right now, and we need to happen. But we need
Yes,
to make it happen because it
I
sounds
agree.
wonderful. So, I want to learn more about your story because it's so fascinating. You found your way into tech once you were already fully immersed into the modeling and fashion industry. Take us back to the moment when you realized that you wanted to learn how to code and reinvent your career. How did it feel and what was going through your head?
Oh, the moment when I realized that it was completely terrifying because I realized I absolutely like I really enjoy this skill. I love this skill and I love building different things and solving different problems. But the thought that I spent because this was in my last year of university and prior to that, I was in the fashion industry for a few years. So, I was pretty far along as far as my network goes, my internships, everything with the fashion industry. So the thought of completely just saying goodbye to everything I worked for and jumping into the tech industry where I knew absolutely no one, had no contacts, it was terrifying. But I did it. And the reason I just kept on pushing forward was because I knew that's where I wanted to be. That's what would make me happy. That's where I could see myself long term. And I knew it was worth kind of starting from the ground and working back up again.
And I commend you for it because it is so scary. There's sunk cost there of
Yeah.
I've spent so much time and energy getting into this industry, and it takes a lot of bravery. It takes a lot of courage to just completely pick up and take over the learning, take over this whole process. And a lot of the times, at least that was my experience when I made like a big change
Yeah.
in my life and in my career. A lot of the times, the people around me, or around one person who is making the change, don't necessarily understand what is going on. So, how did your friends and family react to your decision? Did you face any pushback or doubts, and how did you navigate that?
Oh, yeah. And I was, as I was answering your first question, as a side note, I thought of you because I'm sure I don't mean to divert too much, but I thought of you because I know you made a big transition as well from a big tech company to your own business. So I just want to say I commend you for that. It's very inspiring. But to answer your question about how the people around me were reacting, my family was very supportive. They didn't understand it at all, but they were just like they're the most supportive. I'm very lucky in that way. um, there was a lot of friends who didn't, and some that were really close to me who didn't. And it was it was my first experience of, to some degree, feeling that I think a lot of women do when they break into tech or are in tech, of feeling, I remember someone said to me, who I trusted, and was a very good friend to me, said something about how, oh, Tiff, why would you want to sit behind a computer all day? You should be doing marketing or PR, or doing these things that are stereotypically more for women, I guess you could say, but very stereotypically. And I was like, well, why would you say that? This is where my interest is. So it took me aback, to be honest. I didn't expect it. So it was a very weird feeling. But honestly, it made me want to do it more, in the sense I was like, I'm not listening to this.
I'm gonna prove everyone wrong. And you
Yeah.
did. I
Yeah.
love that. That was like almost, at least that's what I'm hearing. And correct me if I'm wrong. I'm almost hearing that it was a almost a source of motivation for you to push further.
Exactly. I would have done it regardless, of course, because that's what I truly enjoy and makes me happy. But taking a negative and turning it around into a positive in that way, that's how I dealt with it.
That again takes so much courage and so much power and belief in yourself. So super curious, what would you recommend for people who are changing, who are going through that change, that big change, and they're changing their careers, changing their lives into tech, or maybe somewhere else, right? And facing that misunderstanding, facing people who might be doubting what they're doing, who might be doubting their choice. How can they continue going and continue building confidence in the skills that they need for this life changing decision, essentially?
Yeah, it's tough. I would say there's two things that I do, and one that I take into practice with me still almost every day, just in different aspects, and I speak about it often. So I'm kind of repeating myself here, but I always envision my future self. Like, I actually think of like a little character in the future, and I know it sounds strange, but I just think, what will make her happy? What can I do today that will make her happy? Be like, oh, Tiff, I'm so happy you stuck with it, or to whatever degree it is. And when you think about your future self and what makes you happy, if it's what you're doing today, even if it's challenging and you're having doubts, if that's what will make you happy, you just know that if you stick with it, you will get through it. And I always think, what, there's millions and millions of, for me, what I wanted to do was, software engineering. There's millions of software engineers. I have to be as smart as one of those millions, or I have to have those skills. I can do those. If they can do it, why can't I? And I always use that. If someone else can do it, why can't I? And that really helps motivate me too. And the other big thing is having that mentor or support system when you are having those days of finding it hard to be your own cheerleader, that they can bring you up, will help you get through those rough patches, because they're temporary. They don't stay. You just need to kind of get through. And it's always better if you can do it with someone supporting you and believing in you.
Absolutely. That's so powerful when you do have that role model. And I love how you think about you in the future. That's amazing because that's just such a wonderful, almost like a compass.
Hmm.
I don't know if I'm mispronouncing this word, but compass.
Yeah.
I hope you understand what I'm just
Compass.
saying.
Oh, I know. Yeah, compass. I got
Yeah,
you.
the thing that directs you.
Exactly. Yeah, that thing.
That thing that shows where north is, right?
Yes.
That
Yeah.
shows you where your north star is, that shows you the path, the direction, because you know what future Tiff would really enjoy, what she would be proud of you for, what she would be proud of the current you for. And that's such a wonderful approach, such a powerful approach. So thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about how do you do it all? I mean, you have a full-time job at IBM and you're also growing this crazy platform that is helping so many people get into tech, to make tech accessible for people who are just entering it. I mean, there's just so much that you are doing. How do you do it all? Do you have any time management strategies and tips that you can share with people who are watching this, who are also inspired by what you're doing and want to do the same?
Oh, thank you. I think for me, one of the things that I do, and I always try and be transparent about, is where I can get help or where there are experts who are better at me, I always take the help. I feel very lucky that I can do that because that comes with different costs. So I recognize that first and foremost, that's not the situation for everyone. And I always try and be transparent about it because it's not just a one person kind of behind the scenes thing. And I don't want anyone to ever feel as though it is, because it's not. And I think for me, help, whether it be video editors or, helping out with different content, that really helps. You mentioned the word in a previous conversation about batching, and I never put a term to it, but I do that a lot as well. So thank you for that term. So on the day to day, I can focus on my 9 to 5 during 9 to 5, but still be, posting content that I've created, not that same day, not in that moment. So that really helps too. But just being asking for help from others and outsourcing as much as possible is honestly the biggest takeaway for me. And recognizing when it's time to slow down, even if things aren't done or aren't perfect, but that you're just not going to get anywhere if you just keep on going. You need to slow down. You need to take time for yourself.
100%, because it's so easy to burn out,
Oh, yeah.
especially with how demanding, social media is, and the
Mhm.
algorithms that just want more and more content out of you, and it's just a never ending rat race. So you have to
Never.
slow down and just like create barriers, create boundaries for yourself.
You do, because it's like I try and treat it like you would treat a job, in the sense that after a certain hour of the day, which for me is around 5:36, just turning it off. And sometimes, like I said, I will go on there and maybe scroll, but I really try and be mindful about it and try and limit it. But most nights, just nothing at all, which is nice, or else it can consume your life.
Oh, easily,
Mhm.
easily. It's yeah. I mean, that's the whole point, almost of those platforms. Well, I don't want to say it's the whole point. It's but they are addictive, right? They're
Yes,
built to be addictive, and
exactly.
not just as a creator, but also as a user,
Yeah.
because you are both,
I
essentially.
know. It's a very strange thing. It's strange.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, as we're navigating the world of, being able to build your personal brand online and, having a real job, etc., what advice would you give to anyone who wants to build their own career and to shape their own career, like proactively shape their own career and also personal brand?
Mm,
Because I feel like those things are kind of going hand in hand nowadays.
yeah.
How would you approach this whole thing, if you were to do it all over again?
If I was to do it all over again, I probably would do everything the same, because I think I've learned through my mistakes. But I think for others who are just, starting out and wondering where to go, I think you don't need to have a personal brand to the degree where you're creating a business out of it. Not everyone needs to do that, but having some, especially if it does help if you have some online presence, whether it be maybe you just write a Medium blog post on something you're interested in, or you don't need to go all out, but having a little bit of a footprint online, I think, and talking about things you're passionate about really does help the interviewer get a better sense of who you are. And I think nowadays, even if the interviewers aren't intentionally looking for it, everyone's still Googling who they're interviewing. And if you have some things that are, some nice blogs or nice kind of things that you've put out there of your interest, I do think it helps you, and it helps build a bigger picture for the interviewer. So just recognizing that you don't need to make this huge brand out of it, but just have some kind of digital footprint, I think, is good.
Oh, absolutely. And that is the part that you can control, right? Because
Mm.
one of my friends has recently, she was working at a consulting company, at PwC, at a startup, and she was trying to get into the crypto space.
Okay.
So, like you said, she started creating Medium blog posts on the subject. And but also the act of creating that content and breaking it down helped her
Learn.
in getting more familiar. Yeah, exactly. Learning herself. So thank you for that tip. That is so invaluable. And like you said, it doesn't the number of followers, the reach doesn't matter as much as long as you're doing something. And
Exactly.
taking control over your own narrative. And that's super
Exactly.
powerful.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah. That's a great example that you shared, and that's awesome for your friend.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so impressed by her.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she's managed to achieve her dream, which is working at a VC, like a crypto VC
Oh,
firm.
amazing. Oh,
So
I love that. That's so great.
it really is. And honestly, thank you so much for sharing your experience, sharing your insights, and being so honest with how you went through your own transition and how you handled it all, because I know it wasn't easy. From personal experience, I know it
Yes.
wasn't easy.
Yes.
And I'm just so impressed by all the things that you're doing and the content that you're creating. Thank you for doing that. I'm so excited to continue following your journey into wherever the future Tiff wants you to take you. So,
Exactly. I love that. Thank you so much for having me and for all these wonderful, thoughtful questions. I really appreciate them. And it's been great to connect.
Tiffany, thank you so much for being so transparent with us, for just speaking your truth and sharing such actionable tips. I'm sure everybody who is watching this or who is listening to this has learned something new from our conversation. Let us know what you thought about this conversation with Tiffany, because I'm super curious. You can do so in the comments or also by shouting us out on social media. Don't forget to tag us so that we can see it and interact with it and respond to you, all those good things. You can find us on social media as Stereotype Breakers and Stereotype Brokers on Twitter. Also, if you're not following Tiffany, I mean, what are you doing? All the links to her social profiles, to her platform, will be in the description, because she is wonderful. She is sharing so much value and so much good content every single day. So go ahead and follow Tiffany all over the place. All the links will be in the description. Like this episode if you've enjoyed it, and share it on social media, because let's spread the love. Let's spread Tiffany's insights and just, all of the goodness that she has to share. She's wonderful. Thank you for joining us for this chat today. I appreciate you, and I hope you have a wonderful time today you're currently experiencing. Bye.